The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt. So get ready, nerds, because we're talking RRR. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on this episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast, where we're discussing the Netflix movie RRR Out of India. I'm joined as always by my fantastic panel of nerds. Matt Vader is here, the one man who forced me to watch this movie.
I said, you're watching it.
You sicked our Twitter followers on us.
I made you the villain.
You did?
I did. Because you needed to watch this movie.
All right.
I knew Matt wanted to watch this movie, and I needed to make you watch this movie so we could talk about the movie today. Okay. Like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And you weren't going to do it.
This was not on my radar.
I literally needed to peer pressure you.
Yes, you did.
It's like, hey, everybody, all you RRR fans, convince my buddy Alex, my podcasting partner, that he needs to watch this movie so we can talk about this grand masterpiece of cinema.
Yeah.
So we can have some fun.
You got a lot of comments too.
I did. I'm not used to getting that many comments on my tweets. I'm not gonna lie. I get whatever. It might same 12 people, but man, I got like.
Was it your account or the podcast account?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, it was wild. It was
also cool. Joining us, Matthew Kadish. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, so like this is a movie. Like I saw it on Netflix a while back when it first premiered on there, and I'd heard so much good things about this movie. Like people had just been raving about it, and I'd been wanting to watch it for a long time. But number one, it's 3 hours long. And number two, it's subtitled. And so like subtitled movies require you to basically like not do anything else while you're watching the movie, which makes it, a commitment. And so like, like this past weekend, Jude and I were at a wedding and she was doing wedding stuff and I had basically some hours to kill. And so I was like, you know what, I'm finally going to sit down and start watching this movie. And so I got about halfway through it before like I had to go and do wedding stuff myself. And, overall, I was like, yeah, I'm into this. And then I came back and I finished it last night before today's podcast. And I got a lot to say about this movie.
I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this movie.
Yeah, I'm generally, I am like not interested in Bollywood or Tollywood or whatever.
Listen, I don't know the difference.
Foreign Hollywood movies that are coming out of these countries, they're not my vibe. I don't like them that much. I've seen clips from other Bollywood movies and I'm just like, it's over the top and ridiculous and just crazy, crazy nonsense. And it's never been my thing. Plus the subtitles, plus the length and all this. There's so many different things I have to get used to as somebody who consumes like almost purely American, maybe Australian content. To get something from that side of the world is completely different. And I've never really been interested into it. And I saw people talking about this movie online. RRR is amazing. It's freaking so crazy. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Good. They hit one. They got a home run.
It's like, I'm not going to lie.
Awesome.
Our circle of friends, our sphere of influence in the social media world definitely had a huge impact on watching this movie. Yeah. Because I know people that just like, they're like, this movie changed my life. This movie, this movie is like, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like something that you would not get out of Hollywood these days. That's very true. You know, and I'm like, okay, it's like, I'm going to have to set aside 3 hours of my life to absorb this thing. And you guys know me. I do not like reading movies.
I was shocked.
I fucking hate
reading part movies. Of this movie's in English, at least.
Yeah. Part of it. And but you know what? From the onset, from the get-go of this movie, it didn't really bother me because I sat down. I go, I'm going to give this movie a fair shake. I'm going to watch it. I want to understand the hype. I want to know what is going on with this that people are understanding. Yeah. That people are jumping on this massive band because this thing is a phenomenon right now.
You guys want to get it?
Is wild.
Yeah, so, we should just say that Jude would be here with us to talk about this movie, but she just didn't have the time to watch it yet. So
you guys want to get into it? We'll take a quick break and then we'll come back and do a synopsis. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, folks, and then we're gonna get back into full spoilers of RRR. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you guys would like to support what we do here on the podcast, you can go to saltynerdclub.com and become a club member. That is where you're going to get access to our discussions on classic sci-fi shows like Doctor Who, Stargate Atlantis, Star Trek, the original series, Buck Rogers in the 25th century, and the most recent one that we're doing right now is Battlestar Galactica. So if you want access to our discussions on those shows and so much more, head over to saltynerdclub.com. It's only $5 a month. You got access to 4 to 5 exclusive podcasts every single month just for you. We also have special Discord access and a bunch of other perks. So join up, help support us here at the podcast at saltynerdclub.com. All right, RRR. Cadis, you have a quick synopsis for us before we get into it, so take it away.
Yeah, so basically RRR stands for Rise, Roar, Revolt. And it is a fictional account of 2 real-life Indian revolutionaries who took on the British Empire. And basically, one of them allies himself with the British Empire, goes undercover as a British police officer in order to gain access to guns to arm his small village in order so that they can fight against the British Empire. And the other one is a small village protector who basically goes to Delhi in order to rescue a member of his tribe. And the two are basically on opposite sides, but they become friends. And when they discover that each other is working towards like a different goal, they have to fight each other in an epic battle. And once they finish that battle, they find out, oh, we're both on the same side after all. And they become best friends forever and basically destroy every British person in all of India. And it is kind of like, if I had to compare it to an American movie, I'd say it's almost like The Departed, but with Marvel superhero level action. And these guys are larger than life. This movie doesn't take itself very seriously, but it's a fun action adventure romp that it deals with like friendship and loyalty and all types of really great themes. And it is an extremely fun movie.
So right off the bat, I had no idea what to expect of this movie. No idea what to expect. And I had to switch gears because we're dudes and we put things in compartments, little boxes. Like if I'm watching a serious movie, I take it very seriously and it cannot go out of that box. Otherwise I'll lose my vision of it. This movie, I had no idea what to go into, but like very early on, I was like, oh, this is literally a comic book. Like the physics, the splash pages of like these epic stances where it goes into slow motion and then it goes into the action. I'm like, oh, that's a splash page. That's like open both sides of the paper. Right, and here's a full scene of Wolverine like slashing through 8 people. Like, oh, okay, this is a comic book movie from start to finish. Visually, it's stunning. There's so many crazy, awesome, like wide shots that engross like huge populations of people, and there's huge action scenes. Physics goes way out the window, and all this other stuff.
Laws of gravity
go way out the window. All that stuff. So like, the movie takes itself seriously, but it plays with the fantastical versions of like superhero movies and stuff like that.
So many different types of movies.
Yeah,
you know. Immediately right off the bat, I'm impressed with this movie because it's what's the word? It's practical. They don't use nonsense computer graphics as in a lot of the big crowd scenes.
It's all cinematography.
It's all. It takes itself very sincerely, maybe. I don't know. It's like there's a scene at the beginning of the movie where he's fighting off all of the, well, they're in a little fort, right?
Yeah,
and
they're in a British fort,
and there's these hundreds, maybe thousands of these
Indian protesters,
and maybe it's fake, maybe it's CGI. I don't think it is. It looks real.
Most of it looks real for sure.
It looks very real to me, and you know, I get this like these weird sense of these epic grand scale of a movie that they're making here. It's like a very Ben-Hur kind of thing going on.
Yeah. So
you know what I'm saying?
So to give you guys a little bit of context here, so the 2 main characters of this movie, they are Raju and Bahim or Heem.
Yeah, Bahim.
Bahim. Yeah. So these 2 characters are real life Indian revolutionaries.
I was just going to say, I learned something when you were doing your synopsis because I had no idea this was real.
Yeah. To give you guys a bit of an analogy here, this would be like a movie about George Washington and Thomas Jefferson.
Okay.
Whoa.
With superpowers, basically. Like that's what the equivalent of this was.
Okay.
And basically the inspiration for this movie was that there was a period where these two kind of legendary revolutionary figures from India were unaccounted for. It was like their dark years. And it's believed that the two of these guys were in Delhi, the city of Delhi, at the same time during this period. And so the director was like, well, what if these two guys actually met and became friends and hung out with each other? And so like it's a highly fictionalized account of these two guys, because like, you know, historically they never met, they were never friends or anything like that. And they certainly couldn't do the things that the guys in this movie do. But they're very well known. And in the final dance scene in the movie, you kind of see like representations of them. And in the climax of the film, the character Raju, he kind of embodies the Hindu deity of Rama with like the bow and arrow and like the red streak down his head and stuff like that. and that was very much in line with like what the historical figure is associated with. Like they have statues of him and he looks just like the character at the end of the film, even though like his stint in the British police force was completely made up for this movie. So like this is a highly fictionalized account, but at the same time, like you don't care. It's just like, it's an amazingly well done movie. Like it's beautiful. The action's epic. The characters are interesting. And I don't know, like the movie is basically, the way it's structured is the very first scene, we get the setup for the story, which is basically the British governor of Delhi kind of kidnaps this girl from a local village.
Oh yeah.
Because she's really good at like singing and doing hand tattoos.
Did the tattoos on the hands. Yeah.
And so the village is just horrified that basically this girl got kidnapped right in front of them. And in the next scene, we get introduced to Raju, who is a member of the security forces for the British Empire. And they're at like an embassy or something like that, where basically there's this huge crowd of like thousands of Indian protesters that are about to overrun the facilities. And Raju basically single-handedly goes out there and kicks all their asses to the point where they're all so afraid of him that they leave.
Yeah.
The protesters just leave. And then the next scene we get is with Bahim, who is like the protector of the village
shepherd, basically.
That the girl was kidnapped from.
The girl's brother too, right?
And her brother. And we see him basically fight a tiger,
Awesome.
like single-handedly. And so each character kind of gets their establishing scene, and they're almost like mini movies, almost like short films in and of themselves.
Yeah.
And then the movie starts.
Yes. Right. Oh, listen, if there's any criticism that I have of this movie, it's that it is so overinflated with itself. Like it does not give a shit that it's a movie.
That's what I like.
And it's like, oh no, we're going to take some time.
Oh yeah.
You just sit your ass right there and watch. And it's like, it does not give a shit that you're watching a movie. It's like, no. We've got a story to tell. It takes a break from the main plot line. Like the main plot is to rescue this girl from this British embassy or whatever the hell. It goes, left turn. No, we're going to spend about 45 to 50 minutes on this other thing.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back to that afterwards.
And then we're going to have a dance scene.
It's just like, it doesn't give a shit what your rules are for storytelling. It's like, no. We're going to follow this story wherever it goes, and you're going to have a blast doing it. It's crazy. And one last thing I have to say, the actor who plays, is it Raju? Raj might be the most handsome person on the planet.
Oh, he's so good looking.
When he has his shirt off,
oh
you're
my
just like,
god!
Oh my.
Like it is perfectly groomed little mustache.
The mustache.
It's like, what the fuck is going on?
The mustache is a thing of
look at that dude.
Beauty.
That is a work of art.
Yes.
That is a handsome man.
I'm sure it's real.
Both actors in this movie are like ridiculously shredded in such good shape.
Oh my gosh, dude!
And I have a feeling, and listen, man, this is my ignorance of this genre of Indian movie making.
Yeah,
I feel like both of these guys are like really famous over there.
They're probably super famous.
They're probably
there.
like
Brad Pitt
and
fucking
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
I have no idea if that's
probably.
True. I have no idea, but I have a feeling that's what it is. But the mustache was just completely epic.
And sometimes he has like a full beard, but with the mustache.
With the mustache and the full beard, I can't look away.
Extremely handsome.
I wish I looked like him.
And what's great about this movie is they kind of set up Raju to be like the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Early on.
Yeah.
And Bahim is kind of like the good guy. And Bahim comes to Delhi to try to rescue this girl that was kidnapped. And Raju, like all we know about him at the beginning is he seems like a very ambitious person who wants to rise in the ranks of the the military.
Like the British are the overlord. Like that's the Emperor Palpatine of this movie, right? Is the British governor.
Yeah.
And
they're so over the top.
Oh, they're so racist.
They're so racist, evil like bastards. But here's the thing. Everything I've ever read, learned, or heard about this
the British Empire in India.
It's probably 100% spot on.
Yeah, like the governor is so racist that he doesn't want to waste bullets killing Indian people because the bullets
cost too much.
Are worth more than the lives of the Indian people that they're killing.
It costs too much to ship this bullet over here.
And that weird little monologue scene from the evil bad guy, like it has a follow through all the way to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And they're like, see this bullet? This bullet costs 6 shillings. Mm-hmm. You do not waste this bullet on a brown light. And I was like, fuck.
Dude. It's like, holy shit.
And so like the thrust of at least the first half of this movie is that Raju and Bahim meet each other by rescuing a young boy from a train accident.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to them, like they're kind of like each other's enemy, but because they don't know the person that they're supposed to be looking out for, they become best friends. Right. And so like the first half of this movie, they're kind of setting up the friendship between these two characters. And so by the time the big twist is revealed that like they discover each other's identity, you're kind of like, I don't know who to root for. You know?
Right. Yeah. Well, especially before we get to realize what Raju's like true purpose is. Like you're like, that's the bad guy, but he's freaking cool.
The thing about this movie is it just, as far as the villains go, you have no doubt that the English Empire,
they're horrible.
They're pieces of shit.
Yeah.
From when the beginning of the movie, when
they smack that chick with
well, that's his mom.
I know.
When they smack the old lady across the face with the butt of the gun. It's not just a smack. It's a full-on home run baseball swing.
That's a branch.
It was just a branch from a tree. Yeah, but did she die? Did she die from that?
No, because she was at the end.
Oh, okay.
But man, they fuck this chick up. And it's in slow motion high def. Okay?
Yes, it is.
And it's wild. And you're like, wow.
Yeah, they mess her up.
These British dudes are dicks.
There's never any doubt in your mind who the bad people are in this movie.
Absolutely not.
Like watching Raju, I feel like I'm saying that wrong.
I don't listen. I still don't know the names of everybody in this movie.
Bahim, that's Bahim.
I know there's the police dude, and there's the tribal dude, and the sister.
Yeah.
And everybody else doesn't matter. And I don't care because I know who we're talking about. But it's just
there's the mustache guy and the other guy.
Yeah. There's a mustache guy and the beard guy.
Yeah, and they're both awesome. So.
But yeah, like the journey that Raju has in this movie, I think is way more interesting. Like Bahim is a really cool character, but he's very much like, I don't want to say he's paper thin, but he's very linear in his storyline. Whereas Raju, like there's so much more for him to do. Like he's an ambitious up and comer in the British military, and he's going down this direction. And then like probably more than halfway through the movie, we realize that he's actually infiltrating them as a part of this group.
The movie stops midway through and gives you the backstory to Raju's kind of like his motivations and what he's really doing. And even that, like it takes a complete detour. Yeah, but even then, you're like, this is a great detour.
Yeah. But they're not right up front with it either, though.
Yeah,
I'm like, what is this?
Because they don't hold your hand.
What is this flashback that's happening? You're like, oh, he's the little kid.
Yes.
Who's it was like, because like you really have to think about it for a second.
There's a scene once we have to get to point A before we talk about point B. So there's a moment where the betrayal happens, where Raju decides, I have to put myself and my mission in front of my friendship with Bahim. Right. And he captures Bahim and he brings him to the British. And then the torturing starts. And this scene is freaking brutal. Like I just watched Passion of the Christ recently. This is up there with that.
Oh, yeah.
It's gnarly. And heartbroken that he has to do this to his friend, but he knows that his mission is more important than his friendship.
Yeah.
And he tortures his best friend in front of a crowd of people.
The thing that trips me out about this movie, there is a very serious and a very deep story that's being told here. It's on the level with like those epic movies from back in the day. With like the Ben-Hurs and the
Clash of the
Spartacuses
Titans
and you know, it's that epic of a scale of a movie. But at the same time, the thing that's awesome about these movies, okay, is the absolute crazy goofiness that these movies,
the Bollywood aspect
that they take these places with the tigers and with the dance numbers and with you know it's crazy, right? Am I
no, it is bonkers.
It's like, but if I feel like if they didn't have one mixed with the other, I probably wouldn't have liked this movie. I was expecting Bollywood weird Indian goofiness. With this, and it's not Bollywood, right? It's Tollywood.
I don't know.
I don't know what the difference is. Somebody's going to have to explain this to me before, but I'm very ignorant about the movie scene over there. But there's a special quirkiness and
that's a good way of putting it.
And weirdness that they make these movies with that make me like and adore these movies. Because I think if you took all of the goofiness out of this movie, it would probably it would be depressing.
Be dark and depressing.
It'd be a very dark movie.
Yeah.
But you throw in the
dance scene.
The dance scene with the suspenders and shit. And the dance contest.
Dude, watching that scene made me exhausted.
Oh God,
those guys are such good dancers, and they're just going like 90 miles an hour with their footwork, and I'm just watching that. I'm like, I feel like I'm sweating from watching this scene.
So we're getting schooled here.
Oh, are we?
So Tollywood is Bengali. It's a Bengali cinema.
Okay.
Bengali language film industry based in West Bengal. All right. Okay, and that's fine.
And this is a Hindi movie.
This is a Hindi, popularly known as Bollywood.
Okay.
So they're different. Tollywood and Bollywood are different. This is a Tollywood movie.
So it's kind of like New York film versus LA film.
I guess.
Okay.
There you go. That's probably a good.
I have one bit of salt that legitimately did take me out of this movie for a little bit. Was when Raju was going around town with a drawing of who he is supposed to be hunting down, right? He's rolling around town saying, have you seen this man? And it's literally a fucking picture of his best friend. I was like, come on. Like that.
No, that wasn't of his best friend. That was of the guy who got away after
his best friend's cohort.
Yeah, his best friend's cohort.
It looked just like Bahim. I thought it was a picture of Bahim, and he's like, have you seen this man?
It was not Bahim. That would have been
racist. Yeah,
that would have been
he had the curly beard. He looked just like Bahim.
No, it was the guy that he met at the rally who was like, oh, you want to overthrow the British Empire? Here, come with me. And then he runs away, and they lose him. And then he saves the boy with Bahim, and that's how they meet.
Oh man!
So like he's looking for like his friend, and Bahim would know him, and so like if he ever showed the picture to Bahim would realize, oh, that's the police officer who was undercover that my friend warned me about. But through a confluence of events, he never gets to show him the actual.
That changes it a bit. I legitimately thought that they had drawn a picture of Bahim. And he was like looking for him, and I'm like, he's right freaking in front of you.
What did you guys think of the musical numbers over the montages? Like, there's this big scene where like they're becoming friends, and basically the musical number that's being played over this montage is just them telling you about how they become friends. Where
you know what though?
Where it's like they became friends, and then one day when they discover each other, they're going to kill each other.
I'm not gonna lie, I loved it.
Are you kidding me?
Fucking loved it. And I don't know why.
That was so ridiculous.
But when I knew going into this movie that I think I just put my brain in like this weird like state of suspended animation. And it's like, okay, if I don't get like weird dance numbers and goofy like lyrics, I'm not gonna like this movie. And I got exactly what I wanted.
I felt
let me tell you, I have watched exactly 2 Bollywood movies in my life.
This is one of them.
And this is one of them.
Yeah.
Tollywood. And it's just this is what I wanted. But I can't, I'm losing my voice here.
The musical numbers, for the most part, took me out of the movie. These were the moments where I felt like this movie was way overbloated.
Yeah.
And I was like, they could have made a badass 2-hour movie.
Here's what's going through my head.
But they went 45 minutes into musicals.
This movie is an hour and a half too long.
Right.
Okay. But at the same time, I'm thinking about this thing and I'm going, what if we had Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones and him and Sala are doing some stupid fucking dance music thing while they're inside the thing down there where they find the
pit of snakes or whatever,
and where they find the
Ark of the
Ark, and they're all doing a dance number and dancing and doing all this stuff, and it was awesome. But at the same time, I'm like, it would never work for an American movie.
No.
But for some reason, when I watch this movie, I expect it and I want it and I love it. And I don't know why. And it's freaking me out because this is not my kind of movie. But I loved it, dude. I love this movie. I had a great time with it.
I'll tell you this. The musical cues in this movie are really good. Like when their theme kicks in and like they're doing their fight, like it gets your blood pumping.
Yeah.
The musical interludes, though, where like you have the lyrics literally telling you like what's going
happening
on
in the story. Yeah.
Very strange.
That to me, because they do that about 3 times throughout the movie, and that to me, I was just like, okay, like I don't want to be reading because it sounds better than like when you're actually like seeing like what they're saying.
I definitely think there's something lost in translation with that. Like I don't know if the lyrics of the song are actually that pointed at like exactly what's happening on screen. Like they're becoming friends now.
You know, oddly enough, one of the scenes that really sticks out to me from this movie is the first dance number, where basically Bahim, he kind of has this like weird romance. Yeah. He kind of has this weird romance with one of the British girls who works at the governor's mansion.
Yeah,
and she invites them to like a little party, and at the party there's dancing, and one of the asshole like British guys basically makes fun of the fact that Bahim doesn't know like any of the dance moves.
Tango, and like the
tango,
waltz
the
and shit like
flamingo,
that.
stuff like that. And so Raju sees this, and Raju's like, "Oh yeah, motherfucker!" And so like he starts beating this drum, and him and Bahim like they kind of share a mind. Like once one of them gets an idea, the other one kind of gets in on it. And Raju and Bahim just start doing this like crazy dance, and all the British guys are like, "What the fuck is going on?" And all the girls love it.
Yeah.
And so like they just start going like balls to the wall, like dance number.
And it's a damn dance competition too.
It's like an endurance contest.
Yeah, it's an endurance contest because they're doing this dance and it's the same move over and over and over again, but it's just at a faster pace.
Weird
and if it was just like a dance number, it'd be one thing. But at a certain point in the scene, Raju sees that the girl is really rooting for Bahim, and so he decides to basically lose the competition on purpose. He throws the competition,
gives it to Bahim,
so that Bahim can kind of like get in with this girl. And at this point, we still think that Raju's like the bad guy.
Something you do for your best friend.
Yeah, he's a wingman.
He's a wingman.
Yeah, exactly. And so like we see that there's a certain amount of like honor to Raju when it comes to his friends. And so like if he was just a straight up bad guy, like you'd be rooting against him. But the fact that we see him do all these like really good things, not only to help Bahim, but to like save the little boy's life and stuff like that. When you see him like torturing other Indian people and, fighting Bahim at the governor's mansion and stuff like that. It gives his character such depth that you don't want to root against him. Yeah. Which makes the conflicts all that much more interesting.
And in that moment where he has to come to that realization where he's like, I have to throw my friend under the bus. Like that's a hard moment. You're like, hard. Oh Jesus, dude. Like that's dark.
I couldn't imagine having to like arrest you.
Oh, it would be messed up.
And then
beating me.
And then whip you in front of 1,000 people.
Real quick, I have another little bit of weird salt for this one scene in particular. So they've got them in the torture sequence where Raju is torturing Bahim, and he's got him in front of the whole freaking courtyard.
Yeah, he's trying to get him to kneel.
Yeah, he's trying to get him to kneel, but he won't kneel because he's a fucking badass.
Fuck no, he's not going to kneel.
Hell no, I'm not going to kneel, you British bastards. And you're all rooting for him, like not to kneel. And then the freaking governor's wife is like, here, whip him with this. Oh, and she throws that fucking spiked whip. I'm like,
was she not the biggest?
Oh, she's so racist and horrible. That's a terrible British lady.
And we should point out that the governor is played by Ray Stevenson, who was the Punisher, and he was also in HBO's Rome.
Yeah,
that's where I know him from. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
How many? Okay,
Where did she get that whip from? That's what I want to know.
Listen, I want to divert from the show,
just like the RRR,
just for a second,
just like the movie.
We're gonna swerve for a second. How many American actors? How many Hollywood actors take the time out of their world to go film movies in Hollywood, Tollywood, Bollywood, whatever the fuck it's called? How much do they get paid to make appearances in foreign movies? I don't understand how the industry works.
So one of the interesting things about this movie is it's the most expensive Tollywood movie to ever be made.
I could see that.
American, it was, I think, around $70 million.
Okay.
But it's also the record breaker for the movie that's made the most money since it's been released.
But this thing is a phenomenon. This thing is like taking over the planet right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Getting this thing on Netflix
was the best thing they could have done.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen a movie.
You know what it is? It's a straight up bromance.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where like it's almost like Top Gun Maverick in the sense that like it's just a good dude story that isn't derailed by like modern day politics or wokeism.
There's no woke in this.
No, zero. It's about two best friends who have opposing ideas for a time.
I've heard some people say, well, it's a classic movie about, and pardon my French, brown people versus evil white people. Well, listen.
That actually happened.
This is what it was. The British Empire were dicks, guys. Yeah. They were dicks.
1920s India.
Yeah.
Like just after the Victorian era. That was a horrible time.
Horrible time.
And there's great symbolism in this movie where basically Raju is represented by fire and Bahim is represented by water.
That was so good.
And like how they like come together and they mix. It's like water and fire can't exist together, and yet somehow they find a way to make it work.
That final battle scene where the one dude has a spear and he takes it out of the water, and then the other guy has the fire.
We need to get there.
And it's like freaking.
But we'll get there. That's the end of the movie.
But before we get there, I want to talk about the assault on the governor's mansion.
Okay, where the fuck did they get those animals from?
Oh, are we talking about
the caravan, and he turns it, and then the animals jump out.
That's like the greatest meme of all time.
I don't understand.
Have you seen this meme?
Yes.
Where he's just like flying through the air,
and he's got tigers behind him.
Coming out. I'm like, oh my god, this was so over the top.
As much setup as this movie took, and like side quests and all this other bullshit that this movie did, the one thing it never explained is where the fuck they got all these animals from.
They hunted him down. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Don't ask questions. It don't matter.
So basically, in order to get into the governor's mansion, there's like this 2-door security system where you have like the 2 main doors that open up into like this like kind of courtyard, and then they have to open up a second set of doors. And Bahim sees this when the girl that he likes kind of invites him into the mansion.
Yeah.
And so he knows that like we have to wait for the second door to open before we can ram through the first. And so him and his buddies have this truck that is full of wild animals. Like we're talking bears, wolves, tigers, and so like when they time, like there's this big ball that the governor's putting on, and they time it so that they can ram through the front doors and get in through the second doors. And the truck kind of like skids to the side and screeches, and the opening of the side of the truck comes out, and all these animals come flying out in slow motion along with
all
Bahim.
the cage doors go at the same time.
And it is a truly epic shot.
It is an epic shot.
I gotta say.
Epic.
And basically Bahim's goal here is to use the animals to create chaos with the soldiers so that he can get to his little sister and get her out of there. The only problem is that Raju shows up and reveals his true identity as a British police officer.
Yeah.
And
one of the most epic fights ever happens on screen.
So good.
Yeah. Like this is the first fight that these two have, and it is truly epic. Like fires blazing in the background. All these soldiers are fighting like wild animals.
It puts Zack Snyder's slow motion fights to shame.
So good.
to
though.
shame.
It's so good.
It's funny because when I was watching that, I was like, Zack Snyder should be taking notes.
Yeah,
on this
seriously,
movie.
like he loves this type of cinematography, but he can't pull it off like these guys did. That fight scene was dope.
This is when the whole compound gets fucked up. Right?
Yeah. I remember when Bahim like grabs the fucking chain and he rips that thing out of the ground and he throws it at him.
When does the British dude's wife die? Is that this scene?
No, that's at the end.
That's at the end.
Because I want to talk about.
Oh,
that
she gets
again.
fucked up.
Ooh. Yeah. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. The assault on the governor's mansion was epic, but I just this thing that this movie does that breaks the rules of most movies that we talk about on the podcast is like there needs to be setup and payoff. There needs to be an explanation for everything that happens. These animals come out of freaking nowhere. There's never any setup. Like, oh, I know somebody who owns a zoo.
No. They did have a bit of a setup, but they go out and they said the tiger was the same tiger from the beginning.
Are you sure about that? Because that was 100.
Because their whole thing was they needed to capture all these animals.
So Alex, in the scene where we meet Bahim and he's being chased by the wolf, the whole point of that exercise is to capture these animals for the assault on the governor's mansion.
They were planning that mission from that point on?
Yeah.
Right.
Whoa.
Okay. And so like when he captures the tiger and he says like, I'm sorry, my friend, but I need you for a greater purpose. He didn't kill the tiger. He kept that tiger for that assault.
Right.
Okay.
It's like, I'm going to feed you later.
My bad. I'll let that one slide.
Yeah.
I'll let that one slide.
So what that means is he captured the tiger and he went out and they captured the jaguar and the wolves.
And the
bears. They did this many times that we didn't get to see on TV.
Okay.
But,
I'll give that one to you guys. Yeah. The other thing is the Wolverine style healing that these guys go through. So Bahim,
don't ask questions.
Bahim gets tortured and ripped up and destroyed. His knees are broken and all this shit. And then like the next scene,
you're not wrong.
He's completely healthy and fine.
You're not wrong.
Kicking ass like nothing happened. The same exact thing happens to Raju.
Yeah.
Raja? I don't know.
Raju.
Where he gets captured and tortured and his knees get broken, he puts into solitude, and then like the next scene he's completely fine and he's a fucking badass, archer or whatever. It's like
doesn't matter. Does it really take you out?
There was a moment there where I was like, what happened to their injuries? Yeah. And then I was like, this is freaking cool.
But I noticed the same thing. And then I said, don't care. I don't care. Because it's so much of a comic book movie anyway.
Yeah,
it really did not matter.
It's also they're selective. It's kind of like, okay, well, Bahim is this guy who can basically pick up a motorcycle and swing it around.
Oh,
that
was
awesome. Hit the soldiers, but like he can't break out of a wicker cell.
And that's the thing. It's so fun about these movies. It's like these guys are like basically superheroes. But they're just normal dudes. It's like, when the motorcycle
convenience.
he like hits the fucking motorcycle and it like stops immediately and flips.
Yeah.
And that's this weird thing. I was like, that's fucking like Iron Man shit right
Bucky from Winter Soldier did that shit in that movie.
Bucky stuff.
But he can also break through walls with his arm. This movie is completely inconsistent.
Well, he's the village protector, and he's been trained since birth. So, he is a superhero.
So
he is a superhero.
There are actually three major kind of like action scenes in this movie. There are lots of action throughout it, but there are three major ones. So we talked about the assault on the governor's mansion. The second one is the jailbreak, where Bahim goes to rescue Raju from like his solitary confinement, and Raju's legs are basically beaten so bad that he can't walk.
He gets on his shoulders.
But Bahim puts Raju on his shoulders and locks his legs behind his back. And these two are basically fighting the entire like British garrison on each other's shoulders.
It's a chicken fight from the pool. They're running around.
But it's completely believable within the context of the movie because, and this is the first time that we see these two fighting together.
Yeah.
Which when the music swells and like you're seeing like all these like crazy things being pulled off. Yeah. And the governor's there and he's like on the phone yelling at people. He's like, get the special forces on these guys. Yeah. It's really fun. It
is a blast, but it doesn't follow any rules at all.
I have to admit, this movie is okay. So without sounding like a racist, all right, this movie is very foreign to me.
Okay, that's not racist at all.
I know, but I'm just trying to like cover bases. The music in this movie is very stuff I'm not used to.
Right.
You know
I've never watched a movie like this before.
I haven't either, and it's completely out of my comfort zone. This movie is, and I'm completely glad I watched it because it has opened my eyes that there is another world of movies out there that I have absolutely zero knowledge about.
Yeah.
And everything from the music to the style of the movie making to the video effects to even the way that,
like, that's not CGI, bro.
No, that's
they're
real.
climbing on top of people in that
wild.
scene.
It's like the way these people make movies over there is just
that's real.
it's real. It's insane. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I appreciate it so much.
You know what's funny to me is like it's not so much the action scenes that are impressive to me; it's the dance scenes.
Oh yeah.
These two guys are such amazing dancers.
Yeah, I need somebody to explain the, you know, at the end of this movie.
Do you want to talk about the final assault?
There's a dance number that's mixed in with the credits kind of thing, right?
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, we can get there.
We'll get there in a
later.
minute.
We'll get there in a minute. But
do you guys want to talk about the final assault on the governor's mansion?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
So they finally team up. We get that little side quest backstory for Raju, where like they show his father going up against the British Empire.
His father's a badass.
His father is a badass, and that's where his son gets it from. He's like, what does he say? Load, aim, shoot.
Yeah.
And it's like that's like the mantra that he gets when he's fighting these people. And his mother dies. His mother gets shot,
and his brother,
and like it's a horribly sad story, but like it shows where he's getting this freaking fire inside of his chest from, and it's a great backstory. But then after that, they finally rescue each other. They team up, and they're going to go for that final assault on that precinct. And they've got freaking artillery fire coming after them. There's like motorcycles coming out of nowhere.
I mean, they're riding side by side on horse and motorcycle, which they've been doing throughout the movie.
Yeah, that's a consistent thing.
That's their thing.
That's their thing. It's like the dude from the jungle gets a motorcycle, but the dude from the city gets a horse.
I love it.
It's bonkers, dude.
Can we talk about Bahim's like reckoning with like the motorcycle guard who like beat him up at the beginning?
Oh, Robert. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's so racist.
I don't know if I remember that.
Robert is the douchebag guard that beat him up for turning his motorcycle on.
So the guard brings in his motorcycle to get because he's like, oh, there's something wrong with it. You guys didn't fix it right. And Bahim like just pops a clutch and is like, okay, it's fine. And then the guy gets pissed off because he thinks that
he made a fool out of him.
Yeah. And so like he whips him with like his thing, and Bahim doesn't fight back because he doesn't want to blow his cover.
Yeah.
But then like during the assault on the governor's mansion the first time around, he fucks that guy up.
Yes, he does.
and like the guard coming at him, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat this guy like I beat him before. And he gets his ass kicked. Like, didn't he like get his arm ripped off by the tiger?
He did get his arm ripped off. That's right. He got it got mauled by something. I can't remember if it was a tiger or not, but it was just a banana scene. So the final assault. Another epic battle scene. Just throw physics out the window, though, and don't ask questions. Because, like, they defeat a whole bunch of people. There's explosions going off. And then in the next scene, there's, like, a random motorcyclist, like, running around. So it just doesn't make any sense.
There's so much stuff in this that just blows my mind. You know, it's like the governor's wife.
She's a bitch.
She gets shredded.
Yeah.
She gets absolutely
shredded. They blow up the entire mansion.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's not something I feel like it's not a scene that you would see in a modern Hollywood movie.
What happens?
You know what I mean?
What basically happens here is Raju knows that the governor's mansion has stockpiles of modern weapons, which is kind of interesting because the actual historical figure that this Raju is based on, like his MO was he would lead kind of like hit squads into police stations and basically ransack them and get all the modern weapons like guns and rifles and stuff, and then use them against the British nationals in their kind of guerrilla attacks. But in this movie, Raju basically he knows. Like he wants to become a special officer so he can get access to the weapon shipments and divert them to like these villages so they can rise up in armed resistance against the British Empire. And so he knows all these things are in the governor's mansion.
Right.
And in the climax of the movie, Bahim kind of lets his motorcycle run up this ramp, aims it for the window where all the explosives are stored in the governor's mansion. And as it's in mid-flight, Raju shoots a fire arrow at the motorcycle to make it catch on fire. as it crashes into the governor's mansion and ignites all these explosives, which causes a chain reaction down to the storage shed of all the weapons that basically destroys the entire mansion in the most spectacular way possible.
Yeah. And then the wife gets caught in the crumbling of the building and she gets tied up in like barbed wire, choked to death. And
the thing that was cool about she's such an evil bitch.
But you never care.
And she dies just a horrible death.
Yeah.
And it's like you actually are rooting for her to die painfully. Yeah. And it's like, yes, she got what she deserved. Finally get to see somebody actually get the death that they deserved, that they earned in their shitty fucking life. You know what I mean? It was refreshing to see.
The governor himself too took a hit too. Yeah. Like he got what he deserved as well. But there was something I forgot to mention. The governor's like action scene, the one action scene he had where Raju was trying to save Bahim from being executed.
I don't know how you're keeping the guy straight.
And
I don't know who's
he knocks the tree down and the governor's car hits it and he jumps out. But in midair, he grabs his rifle and he shoots Raju's car. And with a bullet like this big, Raju's car just goes, boom! It just blows up. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
Like, where does the reality mix with the comic book shit?
I don't know,
and
man.
that's
it's hard to keep track
of. That's what I like about these movies, man.
This
movie is so fun.
So bonkers.
And the death of the governor is great because basically Raju pins him to a wall with a bow and arrow, shoots an arrow into his shoulder and pins him there. And then he hands the bullet that he, saved from like the time that his dad gave him that bullet.
Yeah.
Over to Bahim. And Bahim is the one who does the killing blow against the governor.
And that was the bullet that his father said, make sure that whatever you shoot this at is worth the 6 shillings or whatever it is that this bullet cost.
And Raju even gives that whole speech about like how much the bullet is worth versus the life.
Yeah. It was, I mean, it's a it's a incredibly entertaining and fun movie.
But leading up to that, they have that jungle fight with the special forces and all that stuff where basically they're just fighting together. Well,
they become gods at that point. Like they come out of the water and they're like, whoa, and they have like the backlit stuff. And he's like, this is the god of revenge or whatever come to life.
That scene where Raju is backlit by the floodlight.
Yes.
And it's basically like these golden rays, like announcing his godhood. And the music that's even playing in the subtitles, they even say like he was a god anointed by the emperor.
Yeah. And he's come to life.
I love the subtitles. They're so weird. They're so weird and goofy.
I do feel like whenever there's an actual English speaking person on screen and they're speaking English, I do feel like whoever wrote the script for those characters in particular was just using Google Translate because their lines were bonkers. They're like, hello, Miss Cabot. How are you today? Oh, I'm doing great. Oh, that's very good. Thank you very much for asking. Blah, blah, blah. And it was just like.
But it made it better, right?
I don't know. I don't know if I made it better.
I bought into it. I had no problem.
I enjoyed this movie, but I do think it's a bit overrated for people.
What is it? Okay. Why is this movie so popular?
Because it's just nothing like. There's nothing else out there like it.
There's got to be an underlying reason why this is hitting.
It reminds me of Squid Games. So like basically this is a culture that us Americans aren't familiar with,
right?
And it's something that's very unique and original, and it's also not woke.
Yeah,
it is very not woke,
and so like you can actually just sit there and enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah,
and the action scenes are amazing. The story is really like heartfelt. Like you get invested in these two main characters, and so like you're invested in their trials and tribulations and the stuff they have to go through. And the story is actually very well told. Like it's a long movie, but if you can sit through it, I think the fact that it's subtitled. And it forces people to pay attention to what's actually going on helps with that fact in the sense that like people actually pay attention to what's happening in the movie as opposed to being on their phones and missing stuff. And
it's like, I don't know if people who aren't familiar with our podcast realize how much I hate
reading subtitles,
reading movies. But for some reason, this thing just captures you. And I think it's just, they get the hook in you in the beginning of this movie.
With that action sequence.
With him capturing the tiger and with them fucking up the chick's mom.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, this movie is like hardcore. You know what I mean? It's like they immediately
they hook you.
They're not pulling any punches here.
So like, despite the
like,
fact that this
Jesus
movie
Christ.
goes in like 7 different directions and it takes long breaks from the main plot line, you're never not interested.
I mean, you guys know how I watch movies, right?
Oh, I texted you. I'm like, why do you like this movie?
I watched this movie in one sitting.
That's crazy, dude.
One sitting.
Crazy.
This normally a 3-hour movie. I'm gonna spread out over at least three different viewings.
Yeah. Like
especially if I have to read it.
I texted you. I was like, why do you like this movie?
Like,
this does not seem like your type of movie.
Yeah. I still don't quite understand what it is about this movie that I like. But I do. I love it.
Let's wrap this up. We've talked about pretty much the entire movie. Is there any scene in particular that you want to point out that we haven't talked about yet?
It's just the iconic. It's the goofy scenes that I like. It's the tiger capture scene at the beginning.
Did you want to talk about the final dance sequence?
Oh, at the credits.
It's just.
I must have missed that.
Is that a Tollywood thing?
Yeah.
It's like where they do the whole thing where they're like
with the suspenders and
then
yeah.
No. With at the end, the very end.
I didn't see it. I want to pull it up.
Why don't you fast forward to that because you got it up there? It's like the movie's over, and it's time for the credits, right? But then they go into like this 10-minute long dance number. It's just and it's wild. It's the goofiest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm sure this is a
that's a Bollywood thing
just
for
sure. Just a Tollywood thing that they do this, and it's fun. I enjoyed it. I liked watching it. It's so weird.
I can't get over how good of a dancer these guys are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the dad. Okay, so this is almost like a stage play.
It's like a stage thing.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't see this part.
Yeah, I know.
This is a stage. This is when all the actors come out and do their bow, and they're like, "Thank you for watching our movie. Here's an extra little bit."
You're right.
Okay. Yeah. That's got to be a Bollywood thing because I've never seen that before.
So goofy. I mean, could you imagine watching the Bourne Ultimatum? and that Damon comes out doing a thing. Hey, and it's just like thank you for watching. It's the goofiest thing.
It's crazy.
It's so funny.
It's a fun movie, man. I would definitely say like go watch it if you have the time. I think it's a little bit overrated. There's definitely some issues with it as far as the storytelling goes and some setup and like
you want to do final thoughts.
Yeah, just that's what I'm kind of doing right now.
Ahead.
Like just the logic, the logical steps that this movie takes is like, oh, these injuries don't mean anything, and it kind of takes away from the seriousness of the scene that came before. Like,
you think?
Yeah, I do. Like the dude took a freaking whip that had spikes in it. Like,
they're like 2-inch long spikes on
and
this
he freaking broke both of his knees. And then the next scene, he's just completely fine. And I'm like,
But you know what? I think that lends itself to like the good feeling of this movie because like if it was serious and all these injuries were like serious, it would be too dark.
Yeah.
And the fact that these things don't really hurt these guys, our heroes that we've come to care about.
But wouldn't that fit in the category of like a Gary Stu type situation?
This isn't that though, because this is a fantasy. Like the filmmakers straight up came out and like, look, this didn't happen. Like this is entirely fictional,
wish fulfillment fantasy stuff. Yeah,
in a weird way, it's almost like a Princess Bride-ish type thing, where like the grandfather who's reading the story skips over the scary parts and just focuses on the cool parts.
But even Wesley had consequences to being tortured by the machine. Like he was weakened at the end of the movie. I feel like this movie was just like, don't worry about it. These are action heroes. I feel like that.
I get what you're saying.
I feel like that slides a little bit too much into the Gary Stu era of like, these guys are superheroes. Don't fucking worry about it.
But it's weird though, because I get what you're saying, but for some reason I didn't care.
Fair enough.
And I don't have a reason why.
Yeah.
It's like
I didn't care either.
I don't feel like I need to like sit here and nitpick this movie to death over the unrealism of
picking up a motorcycle and slamming somebody in the head with it.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't know why. Maybe I judge foreign films on a different level of stupidity. I don't get it. I really don't know. Well, I don't know. But all I know is that I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, the scene on the bridge where those guys basically grab a rope, jump off opposite sides of the bridge, and use the flag to shield them from like the flames of the
amazing
of the train.
Yeah.
Like at that point, I was like, I know what movie I'm watching.
Yeah,
like I don't care like about people suffering grievous injury and like healing from it 2 seconds later. I'm like, I know what movie this is.
Yeah.
Here's what I know. I watched this movie, and there's other movies by this director on Netflix. I'm going to watch them.
Really?
I am going to, expand my horizons. I'm going to learn a little bit more about this world of goofy ass
foreign
film, and I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
With my enjoyment mixed with the kind of ludicrous amount of salt that I have for like the story and the logical leaps that you have to take to enjoy it, I'm going to say I think this movie's being overrated in general, but I do think it's very fun, and I would not be mad at anybody for watching it. Like, yeah, go watch it. It's on Netflix. If you have it, go watch it. It's great. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars for my rating. It's bonkers, but it's got a lot of heart. Like I said, it's non-woke. Like the British people in the 1920s versus the Indians that live there. Yeah, there's probably a lot of racism. Yeah. So I didn't find that to be like a messaging thing. I think that's just historical. 3.5 for me. What about you?
I'm going to give it 4 stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this. You asked me why. I don't know. I just had a good time.
It's a bromance.
It's a bromance, bro, feel good.
Yeah.
Adventure, goofy, comic book kind of. It's like every genre of movie thrown into one.
It's a musical. It's a dance number. It's a comic book movie.
It's crazy. It's goofy,
it's
right?
Everything.
I don't get it. I don't know why I like it. I just do.
It's a casserole of movies.
That's exactly right. But you know what I appreciate about this movie? I appreciate the fact that this movie has become a thing. I like it when good shows become an entity unto themselves. There's something in the pop culture right now that has taken this movie in. And I don't know why. And maybe it's because it's not woke, like Matt said. Maybe it's because it's a fun movie. Maybe it's because it's
available to the masses on Netflix.
Maybe Netflix just finally hit a home run with this thing. They said, "Fuck cooties, we're gonna give you this shit." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just I don't get it. I don't understand it, but I don't have to. All I know is that I enjoyed it and I liked it, and I want more. I want more from these actors. I want to explore what other stuff these guys have been in. I want to know more about this director. I want to know more. It's opened my eyes to another culture.
Cool.
And I'm happy about it. And
awesome.
I'm looking forward to exploring this a little bit. So.
All right, Kadish, final thoughts. Give it a rating.
All right. So I totally agree with you, Alex. This is a casserole of a movie. It's got a little bit of everything thrown into it. It's got romance, action, adventure, friendship, musical numbers, dancing, like pretty much everything you could think of is in this movie. And I also agree with you that I think that this movie is a tad bit overrated. Mm-hmm. But that being said, it's still a very enjoyable film. I enjoyed everything about it except maybe some of like the music. But overall, I would give this a very solid 3 dance numbers out of 5 because it's a fun movie. Like I would highly recommend anyone who has the time and patience to sit down for 3 hours and read subtitles, watch this movie because it's worth it. Even if like you didn't read the subtitles and you just watch the visuals, like visually, this is a very stunning film.
Oh yeah.
And the action scenes in it are very original and they're very awesome. Like when they're on each other's shoulders and Bahim's running around and Raju is double wielding like rifles with his arms and he's like, he's like leaning back and like shooting people.
God.
The creativity on display in this movie is just like mind blowing. And I'm with Vader. I would love to see other work by this director and by other Tollywood directors and stuff like that. Cause I was very impressed with the 2 leads in this movie as well. Like I think they're 2 very talented guys.
The manly men.
Oh my God, dude. So manly.
They're so manly.
Raju, I swear to God, Raju might be the most handsome person I've ever seen.
Probably.
He is gorgeous.
He really is.
And the facial hair.
That mustache.
I wish I had facial hair like that. My God.
We all do.
I mean, I got some pretty good facial hair going on.
You don't got a mustache like that, dude.
My mustache is weak.
Like that was Tom Selleck level mustache.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Iconic.
Epic. All right, guys. Well, that's it for RRR. We've gotten so much requests to review this movie. So here we are.
Listen, I'm so glad you guys watched this movie. I really am.
I wasn't going to because I don't generally like Bollywood movies.
It's so different than our normal fare.
And what's funny, Vader, is like lately you've been finding a lot of really good like kind of foreign stuff like Space Sweepers.
Yeah, Space Sweepers, Wormwood Apocalypse.
I can't wait till we watch Headhunter.
Headhunter's coming up. That's a Norwegian movie. Yeah. You're all about the foreign film.
Weird. When did that happen?
I don't know.
That's weird. I don't know.
Because I think you're bored and tired of the United.
I think I'm bored of Hollywood
U.S.
movies
freaking Hollywood bullshit.
Because they're all woke bullshit, shitty fucking movies.
Yeah. And the foreign films are where it's at right now.
Yeah.
Even Squid Games and Train to Busan and all that shit. It's all foreign stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We might switch gears. We might be.
We're going foreign.
We're going foreign, guys.
None of the foreign movies on Hollywood on the
Salty Nerd podcast. All right, folks. So thanks, guys, so much for joining us. If you watch this movie, comment below what you think of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're brand new here, welcome. Thank you for watching us. And we have a ton of content on this YouTube channel. We have playlists for House of Dragons and C from Apple TV with Jason Momoa and all kinds of crazy stuff. So don't forget to scroll down and check out some of our other content. V, where can they find you on the socials, bud?
You can find me at Matt Bader 74 on Twitter. And also I am running the official Salty Nerd Twitter account at salty_nerd. And we have a lot of fun there. So yeah.
Right on.
Let's go.
All right. Kadish.
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter and Truth Social. And kadishbooks.com takes you to my Amazon page. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcast, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating. We're trying to get 200 of those suckers so we can get officially credited on Rotten Tomatoes as movie reviewers. And also, if you listen to Spotify, we are now available on video over on Spotify. So check us out there.
All right, folks. Thank you guys so much. Stay salty, my friends.